Good evening. We are glad you're here with us tonight in the Lucky Trader Lounge. With me, I have Swickie at Top Shot Swickie on Twitter. Um, Actually, one of the first questions I had for you was, were you planning on ever changing that name, or because I know that's something that I did when I had Blue Dog Sports in my name and I switched it to my last name to
Hmm.
not be like stuck on one thing, basically, to be able to branch off as like my own brand.
Yeah,
And
instead of Top
so
Shot. Yeah.
so yeah, I guess where does the name Swickie come from? Give us a little background on that.
So my husband Peter, who does NFTBA co-founder, he took me to a bakery and they had all these Chinese treats, and one of them in Mandarin is called Sweet Wife Cookie. So he just shortened it Swickie, and then somehow it just like stuck in our circle of friends, and people call me Swickie sometimes. I didn't really expect that like I would be doing like streams or like anything related to that. So I just kind of used that name for all of the giveaways, especially Top Shot, because that's how I started. So I was doing a bunch of that kind of stuff with my account, and then suddenly, you know, it just kind of stuck. And I don't think, I mean, there was probably like an hour where I was like, should I be changing my name? Because, things weren't that popular with Top Shot for a while. But I still believed in the product because I just was like in it for the long haul. So a few people were like advising me to change my name, but I decided to keep it. And I think it works for now. I mean, even with the Kiki stuff, like nobody really asks me, like, why is there Top Shot in front of my name? A lot of people tend to understand that if I'm in NFTs, that I probably gatewayed through Top Shot. So
Yeah, and I know I had done some NFT stuff before, but Top Shot really did start a lot of people off, at least down
yeah,
sort of the rabbit hole of NFTs. So in that sense, it's kind of like your roots in a way
yeah.
of like how you got to where you were. So let's get into that a little bit because I know we originally were in a Top Shot alpha group, I guess is how you'd word it. That's
Yeah.
originally where we first interacted. And so way back then, people were talking like Top Shot stuff, this, that. And then it sort of went into that's where I learned most about like the Board 8 Yacht Club and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit about how you got started in NFTs specifically, like how you ended up with finding out what Top Shot even was.
I found out what Top Shot was because a couple of my friends from my Coachella group, they asked me, they knew that I was watching NBA, and, we were in COVID, so everything was locked down and we were kind of bored during that time, so they asked, was I going to get in the queue? And I was like, queue, what are you talking about? They're like, tomorrow there's a rare pack Top Shot queue. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I went and kind of like looked things up, and I was like, okay, so it's like digital trading cards. And I was like, I don't know, I'm not sure. So the next morning, about 5 minutes before the queue, they were like, are you awake? Everything's happening. And I'm like, yes, I'm awake. Everything's fine. I'm just, oh, sure, I'll hop on. So it was a rare pack, and I happened to hit. So I got in, and then I also got a really low serial Bradley Beal. And I posted it on Twitter, of course. Not, I mean, I followed just some people, not very many, but everybody freaked out because they're like, "Wow, that's like a really low serial Bradley Beal," and I was like, "This was pretty easy. Like, I'm just gonna keep doing this."
Yeah.
So every pack drop, I just would hop on and hope for the best.
Yeah. So then did you hold that for a long time, that Beal, or did
Still
you
have it.
did you sell it and that you still have it today?
I'm like ultimate diamond hands. Like, I do not like to sell things if I don't have to. I have sold on Top Shot, but a lot of the time I just keep it in there because I wanted to finish Cool Cats, which I did. So and Midnight Lives. And I want to start completing sets. Like I've completely finished the Lakers set, of course, until the next card comes out. But I'd like to try to do more sets this year. But I'm just not sure where to start because everybody has their own opinions on like what sets are the best sets and which sets
Yeah.
are not good, you know?
And it seems like more recently they've been giving out rewards based on sets or I th- what was this previous drop that they did that with? The Deck the
Oh,
Hoops one, where if you had the previous Deck the Hoops, then the likelihood, I think you automatically got a pack drop or something like that in this
something
one.
like that. Yeah.
And then I think they were doing that with the Hustle and Show one as well. So they're trying to give people that previously were holding on to these sets like some sort of incentive to then do it for others. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with team sets, like you said, because I have, well, not the Series 3 part to it yet, but I have the Celtics, the Nuggets, and then I had the Hornets as well. I'm not sure if I still have the Hornets, but my thinking was since I'm living in Denver now, the likelihood that if they do something is probably a local thing. So maybe I could get
Yeah,
some sort of incentive or ticket to a game or something out here. So that's
exactly.
where like I was looking at the sets. So I mean, I'm not as active. I think a lot of people are on Top Shot as I was back in like February and March of last
Yeah.
year. But um, I definitely think there's going to be stuff that they're giving back to people that were heavily involved in the past, and I'm not just trying to like get rid of all of my moments like some people are or anything like that. But yeah, I'm excited to see like where they go down that sort of road. So then you had these Top Shots. Then what was like your first NFT, like Ethereum NFT? I'm assuming. What was the
Hmm.
first thing that you got into outside of Top Shot?
So, right after Top Shot, I got a Z horse
Oh
and I
yes.
bought a starter horse from Doofy. And so I was really obsessed with Zed for a while. But my horse is like not a
Did you
great
win
horse
it in
because
a contest or
I bought the first one and then I was
okay.
on the stream with them and then I guessed the winner of a race. So then I was gifted a second horse like within 2 weeks of that. So I had two horses and now I have, I think, five. I've given two away. So I mean, I like Zed, but it just took a lot of time to really
Yeah,
understand what was going on.
because I think one of our like first conversations was about Zed, and it was sort of like, is this worth the time? Because I mean, Zed's a very intensive game as far as like time spent. You kind of have to spend a lot of time playing it in order to really get a lot of value out of it, unless you
Right.
have like a really good or a few good horses. And once they changed a lot of things over time,
Yeah.
and they slowed down the amount of breeding you could do, and just the ROI takes a little longer to get to and things like that. So um, you had these Z horses, and then we had the great Board Ape Day, and you
That was
minted
wild.
them, correct? I think you minted Board Apes.
I did mint a board ape. I had two for a while, but I had one minted and one that I bought a little bit later down the line, which is Kiki, the female ape. But I minted the blindfolded ape. And so for me, like, of course, I became attached to him because he's my first ape and I minted him. But I knew that there was really like not much I could do with him because he was blindfolded and he had a commie hat on. So I was like, well, I think the chances of him doing something with his IP are kind of limited, you know? So I kind of started looking around in August to see what there was out there. And I was a big Ghost head. So I was always in the Discord for Ghost because I was always trying to win when they did like ninja drops or whatever. And Franklin and I just, you know, were always talking there. So he was like, well, I have a bunch of apes. If you want to look in my wallet, you're welcome to look. And I was like, okay. So I went through and I saw the pink hair and I was like, you know what, I could do a lot with this pink hair. I knew that Punk's comic was coming up. So it was like 3 in the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning. I like ran downstairs because my office is upstairs. So I was just like, Peter, just like listen to me really quick. So I kind of like laid out a plan. Like, if I get this ape, like, what do you think about this plan? And he was like, well, like at the time he wasn't really in to NFTs, and he was just like, are you sure like you want to invest this? And I didn't even have ETH. Like, I had to borrow ETH from him because I was pretty much strictly doing like Top Shot and Zed,
Yeah.
and like my ETH was in Zed, but I didn't really have like an active wallet. So I basically like borrowed money from him to buy the ape. And then later, he and I traded for the blindfold ape for Axes, which is another story. But we've just been kind of like trading back and forth ever since then. So I think it was a pretty good investment. I feel like Kiki's come a long way since then.
Yeah. So she's the only one that you have currently, right?
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I wish
Um,
I had like a second and third ape. That would be really nice right now to keep
oh yeah,
trading.
definitely. I mean, I do too. I sold my ape a while, like in June or so, I think last year. So I've been without an ape. I've had like the mutant and stuff, but um it's been a while since I had an ape, so a lot of the journey I'm watching like from afar. But
Yeah.
I obviously like that first month or two, the real like ape mania of, oh, it's taking, I mean, it was what, about a week or so before people started buying, and then I think it was when Pranksy did that sweep, wasn't that at like 1 a.m. or something?
Yeah. It
It
was
was
late
like
at night.
late at night. I was at a wedding, so I wasn't able to mint them, but I come back to that chat and it's just like
Destroyed.
nonstop chatter about
Yeah.
like, okay, like these are gonna mint out, like this is the next big thing, and people were very excited about it. Like the night that it was actually minting, and it's kind of crazy, like how long of a journey that it's gone in general. Um, and there are 10,000, and there's a lot of like jokes about like the number if it's a lot or a little, but when there's these like random other like the flipped board apes, things like that come out, I'll notice like traits that I haven't seen before. So were you just sort of like searching for traits and that's how you found the hair? Or did someone come to you with the hair that it was a trait? Because there's three different like female hairstyles. I think they
Mhm.
call them girl hair pink is the one that yours is.
Yeah.
But there's like the short hair one, the one with like the ponytail as well. So were you like looking through and you just, I guess, like thought, oh, this one, like you said, like the pink hair spoke to you, but had you seen them before or just from
I had
looking at
seen pink
his?
hairs, but I wasn't like, I didn't have it in my mind like it had to be pink hair. I was like actually open, like it didn't even have to be a girl, like just an ape that I liked. But in his wallet, I just happened to really like her, and I liked that she had the bone necklace because I didn't see that trait before. Or maybe I had seen that trait, but on a male ape, yeah. And I was like, that's a really cool combo, the pink hair and the necklace. So I just kind of figured like there probably would be lots of pink hairs, but maybe not very many pink hairs with the bow necklace.
Yeah.
So that could distinguish her, you know, beyond just being a pink hair. So
So this is Kiki, and so I like the combo of it too, and it has the earring on it. Like some of them, I forget what the percentage is, but a lot of them do have earrings in some form or another. Uh,
mhm.
and I think this is the only of the pink hairs that has the bone necklace, right?
I think so. Actually, I've never even looked to see, but I believe that she is probably like one or two. I don't know why I've never checked. I just kind of like bought her and ran. um, but to like my recollection, I can't recall seeing another pink hair with the bone necklace. I mean, I know like, you know, Archik has her pink hair, like the TNT has her pink hair, but their fur is different, their expression is different. and I don't really think that they have necklaces or earrings. So I
Uh,
just thought that that combination was just like that would stick out to people, you know. So
yeah, and Logan's asking here if there's any other collections that you've debated on identifying with, or I know the past couple days the World of Women have been really popular. That's one that I minted a few of those way back when. I don't have any currently, but did you get into that one at all?
I didn't. I don't even think I ever had a World of Women because by the time I decided that I wanted one, it was just like the floor was like beyond me. I did mint, and they'll probably laugh about this, but the polys, the crypto chicks, I minted a bunch of those. Um, I didn't mint, sorry. I bought secondary a bunch of those, and then I sold some, and I kept three. So I'm hoping that those will make a run because actually I really like aesthetically, like I love them. World of Women has great mission, has great everything going for it, but I was just priced out. So obviously I had Fame Ladies, but we know how that story went. I know that
Yeah,
they were
I had that one
saved.
too.
Yeah, but I just got rid of all of them, and I didn't really look back. But I do have Crypto Chicks. What else do I have? I can't even think of what I have right now. Those are mainly, oh, I have Boss Beauty, a
Oh
firefighter.
yeah,
Yeah,
that one
I
had an
really like
interesting
her.
mint too, where I think it something like people could mint 20 of them, so they just went super fast. The Boss Beauty
You
ones,
know, I didn't mint, so I'm not sure because sometimes I'm like working and I don't get to mint with everybody. But
yeah,
I picked her up. She was like, I mean, it was dirt cheap. It was maybe like 4 weeks ago, and I decided to get a firefighter because my family, they're like all in public service. Like my mom is a nurse, my uncle's a canine cop, you know, all that. So, and I have a lot of cousins that are firefighters. So I just really love her a lot. She's just like really cool looking, and I love, you know, how they've made professions out of all of them. So I picked her up.
yeah. That's kind of cool part about some of these where the issue that I had with the Boss Beauty ones, I don't know if this is like necessarily the best issue or not, but I felt like they looked too much like the World of Women. And
Yeah.
it was kind of like they weren't from the same team, right? Like I don't think it was the same group.
No.
Um, so to me, like part of it was why not go with the one that came first, had the bigger like following. They have like Gary V got really big into them right away. And it was the type of thing where once Fame Lady Squad kind of had their issues, then
Hmm.
the World of Women kind of took over that like first women only project basically. Um, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then it's nice to see this week, especially like those are becoming a lot more popular
Yeah.
right now. Um, and I mean, World of Women got up to like an 80th floor
Eight.
from
Yeah.
like 3 to 8 yesterday, which I mean, it's pretty impressive. Um, so yeah, let's get back to the Kiki stuff because you got Kiki in what was that like June of last year, May of last year?
I think it was August.
Oh, so it
I'll
was
have to
later.
look.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like right before they did the Punks comic contest. So like I basically just bought her and then went straight into the submission process with them. So it was kind of crazy because there's just like really no room in between me getting her and then things like really kicked off. I did the Punks comic contest and then somebody approached me about her being in Hong Kong at the harbor near the Ferris wheel. And they didn't announce Christie's, or they hadn't yet. And just so happened that while the Christie's auction was going on, she was there with like, I think, 8 other apes. So we really got lucky that we were in the harbor and there were like really big framed pictures of them in this whole display. So we lucked out on that. And
Yeah.
that
Do
was
you
really
have a
fun.
link to that or one of the
Yeah.
billboard?
Um,
Didn't you have? There was one too, or was that the ghost that I'm thinking of? That was like the side of a building.
so I sent you a link. If you scroll all like halfway down, you'll see like the BAYC in Hong Kong. And that was the first time that I had put her up. And it's funny, like I didn't get a lot of engagement on that on Twitter, but on IG, like there were just like tons of people like asking me about it. Like, what is this? You know, where can I see it? And I know that some people went to go visit because they took pictures with it. So if you scroll down a little bit more, is it letting you? Yeah, there you go. So all of that is that display in Hong Kong, and then I'll pull up.
So did you go to Hong Kong to see this in
I
person?
didn't. No, I was sad because I couldn't go, but they took really great pictures. They took video for us. It was really, really fun to see that out there. Um, but I did get a lot of people like in DMs just asking more about BAYC and NFTs in general. Just like, what is this? Like, why are there so many of them? And I'm like, well, there's actually 10,000 of them. So people were really interested in that. And then I'll send you her graph art.
So these ones in this Hong Kong, they're not all the same ones from the comic, though, right?
No, these are just, picked by Ghost. He goes by Ghost on Twitter. I don't really know how he picked people. I'm not sure. I'm kind of shocked that like they asked me because I didn't have any mutual friends with them or anything. But again, I think because Kiki has pink hair and she kind of had been like, in the comics run and all that. I think they kind
And
of figured
you're
she'd
like
get.
part of that community in general.
That's true, yeah.
Is Ghost based out of Hong Kong?
Ghost, yeah,
The artist, yeah.
he's well, there's Ghosts like the NFT, and then there's Ghost the ape.
Oh, so
They're
it's
different.
different person.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's like Ghost 852 or something. But Ghost the ape, he's the one that kind of put this all together. And they even made a video, which is farther down on that webpage if anybody wants to see it. But they like did this like really silly, cool video.
Oh, this thing.
Yeah, and it just was cool because it got a lot of attention. So it was
Interesting.
fun.
Yeah. I so Ghost is the owner of that ape, basically, that first one.
Yeah, Ghost 852, like on Twitter, he's an ape, but he's like not related to Ghosts, the NFT
With the
project.
X instead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not that Ghost, but he goes by Ghost 852. So he's the one that put this together with
Okay.
Clyde.
Is
Um,
852 the serial to his ape or anything like
no,
that?
it's like I think it's their area code or something like that.
Oh, because I've seen that Clyde ape before. I recognize that one with the hat.
Yeah, Munga, I think he goes by. So he's actually the one that reached out to me, and I just was like, "Oh, cool, yeah." So it's just like I think Rich Wagner's his ape is in there as well. So
Oh
yeah, it
yeah,
was fun.
I recognize him too. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't even realize
Yeah,
that this Hong Kong one. I was thinking of this up on the right here with Rich Uno. That's what I
yes,
was thinking
that's
of
the one.
on the side of the building.
So
And
I sent
then
you the link. Yeah,
yeah.
so
Oh,
you could
other
see it a
one.
little bit bigger if you want.
Let's see.
So if you click on the left hand, yeah, that's perfect. So Rich and NASA crew helped out. So it was quite the experience. We were there all day. They're a very, very world-renowned graph artist crew. So
Like street
people were
art.
stopping by. Yeah, people were stopping by and getting
Oh, that's
autographs
cool.
actually.
So they changed the
Um,
bone to your names. Well,
yeah.
yeah, a few people's names here, but yeah, basically. Oh, that's dope.
So the way that Rich works is that he collabs with people, but he always, of course, puts his own spin on things. He'll never do like a straight commission because he's a working artist. So his his contribution to all of this was kind of just like making the bone necklace to stand out, which I think is just such a great detail. Like I just would have never thought of that. So he's just brilliant. Like he's a really great guy. He knows exactly what he's doing. This is like his home. This area is specific for graph artists. And at first I was looking to buy some space. And the more we talked and the more that he showed me community places, he was like, this is really just like a community thing. Like, and then Peter coined, this is art space, not ad space. And so we were laughing about that because my whole idea going into getting Kiki on a wall just completely changed from the moment that I thought about it until we ended. Like at first I was like, I'm going to pay for space. I'm going to put it on Melrose. I'm going to do all these like trendy things so people walking by will know or understand or want to know. And then when he took us to this community spot, that whole alleyway is graffiti. And big crews come through from like New York, Paris, all these other spots, and they go and they, practice their craft there. And so for me, like it was just a new experience to be doing this with him because a lot of people stopped by. People with kids, people without kids, people were like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And I think maybe 2 or 3 people joined NFT after that weekend that we met on that site.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
is this still up today?
It's still up. It's crazy. Like they were telling me, they were like, you better take all the pictures now because it'll be gone. Like in 2 weeks, it's going to be gone. And I think it's been 3 months and
Wow.
she's still up completely untouched. And I'm just really shocked. Like I almost feel like because she's so big that people don't want to like it's hard for
Yeah.
them to get up to the Kiki part because we actually had to put a bin and a ladder to get to that. So it wasn't that easy to get up there. So
Yeah.
you
How
would
many
almost
feet
have
up
to
is
get a
that?
genie.
Is this like 20 feet?
20 at least. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that one's pretty cool. And then
yeah.
um so that was after the comic though, right? So
Yeah.
talk me through a little about the Punks comic nomination cuz basically it was 64, was it out of 64,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then they did 1v1 um matches, and now yours is the only female in the
Mm-hmm.
mix, right? So
Yep.
how did you, I guess, try to market yourself in order to get through each of the rounds? Obviously, like you had a full like crew of people as well. Like you have a very supportive group of friends online, and just people already know this image as yours, and things like that you've been doing as we've already shown on here. So how much were you pushing, and like what was sort of your strategy to get to that final 8?
I think I was pushing harder than maybe most people because that is the reason why I wanted to adopt her. um, I wanted to really push the IP limits. I knew that this was a good way to start without using like my own money to kind of kick it off. So I just kind of lucked out in a lot of ways because I was already part of Top Shot. So I was in SEALs with you and all those other people, and they were very, very supportive. And I was already in Ghost Discord, and that was a big support group too. So I feel like I just kind of was in a lot of Discords getting to know people. And so the push that came from that and getting Kiki to each round each time was really just like a lot of my friends from the Discords. And I didn't really run on a specific platform until the end. The end, of course, there weren't any female apes. And, I think a lot of people saw it as an opportunity to be equitable because there's already just not a lot of women in the space generally. And there's also not a lot of female NFTs that are owned by women. So for me, it was like, just let one on, come on, like you can
Yeah.
you can give up a spot for one because then there's just no female representation at all. And, you know, especially being like in a decentralized ideology, like we should give everyone the most equitable shot we can in the most fair way. So towards the end, I really started kind of pushing for her, and definitely like Steph and Jen Sudo on Ladies Night, like they made like a really big final push for me on the last bracket because there were a lot of people not wanting me to win. And so I think that they were really trying hard to spin it a certain way. And so they basically decided that if we're going to win by a landslide. And then I ended up going maybe 4 or 5 percentage points above my opponent. And so then it was like, okay, like this wasn't like a charity case. Like I won fair and square, which I kind of was already winning, but I just really wanted to make sure that it was like a percentage win.
Yeah. So. And then so now you're part of this comic that's coming out soon, obviously. And do you think if you weren't part of the comic that you'd still be, it seems like you still were able to create the brand even without the comic side of it. Obviously you're able to have a little more leverage now as, oh, I'm one of the elite 8 of the apes in this comic. You're connected to Punk's comic in general. Were you part of the Punk's comic 1? And like, did you mint those at all, or were you part of Pixel Vault beforehand?
Yeah. When I was selling my art in May, the first thing that I did was I bought Pixel Vault. I bought issue 1s and I bought House of Kiba. I think I had at one point 6 issue 1 comics. I sold 2, not right away, but I sold 2 for liquidity and then just held on to the rest of them for a long time. And I still have one below 5,000 mint. Mm-hmm. So I got this issue free. And yeah, so I had already been part of like that system for a while. Do I think that it helped me with the brand? I think I would have been doing what I'm doing anyway, but it definitely helped you know, corral a lot of support from people that maybe wouldn't have heard of me or Kiki if I wasn't in Punks, you know. Like I don't know if I would have been able to do the big pre-sale that we did on her merch with that many people if Punks wasn't out, because we had already been kind of cross promoting, you know.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and it's cool to see like the derivative art to it. I mean, even from what we just showed, they have some sort of derivative art that's going to be part of that comic. Let me just bring that back up here, but this middle section, so like that's how she's going to be portrayed in the comic itself, right? So it's kind of cool. I like that image to it. It like with the hand there, like, yeah. It adds, it's like a little sass, like don't mess with her.
Yeah, and they added my ring. There's a ring that I wear like almost every day, a moonstone ring, and I feel like it's brought me a lot of luck in my life since I've had it. And so I asked Chris Wall, who, if people don't know, he's a brilliant DC and Marvel comic artist who also does the meta heroes for Pixel Vault. So he works for Pixel Vault now, and he worked with us on the covers, like, you know, what do you want to convey type thing. And I was like, you know, I'm really not sure about what I want her to look like. I just know that like Kiki's got some grit to her. So he added, you know, the expression and the hand, and then he added the ring too when I showed it to him. I thought that was like a really nice personal touch, you know, because no matter where she goes or who she goes with next, that image will like forever be there, and I will be a little like piece of her in the Punks comic, you know.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the comic, because you know the first one when it came out and it was based on Punks, and like I've never owned a Punk. I feel like Bored Apes, and why, in my opinion, I think that they have a good chance of lasting out longer than a lot of some of these other projects, is because like this huge like boom of NFTs last year, a lot of it surrounded the apes, and a lot of people's initial like dive into things came from apes and these, the IPs. And
Yes.
in my opinion, like, I'm actually gonna read this comic compared to, like, I didn't really care for the other one. I feel like all of the 8 apes, like, I, in a way, know the people, and some of that's just from, like, following them on Twitter, um, like Schiller,
Yeah.
I've, like, watched a bunch of his streams, and I feel like there's a little more connection in this one compared to like the original Punks one. So I'm excited to see once it comes out. I have 2 of the tokens for
Cool.
this next setup, and then one of the comics themselves. And so I'm excited to see what goes on with that. And then kind of segue from what you're saying about the ring, moonbeams.
Yeah.
So this was another one. I'm not sure. This was probably your first collection that you created, right?
Yeah.
On OpenSea.
Hmm.
So Moonbeam, tell me a little bit about how this started, because this is a different kind of style where you're able to, create your own artwork and sell it as NFTs. So you're sort of not really like leveraging the community and following that you've gained on Twitter, but you're able to show, like, I'm not just this random, ape holder. Like, I also have my own art, and I want to be able to showcase that digitally. And it seems like a lot of people have come out and supported you with this. So tell us a little bit about like where Moonbeam came from, like why moons, why this style, things like that.
Yeah. So I was in the Ghost Discord a lot, and I just felt really inspired because as a kid, like I was just always drawing. I was either outside on my bike or I was drawing. There was like no other real thing that I was doing. And I just never ever thought like I'd be able to sell my art. But one day I put up that white one and the one next to it in the second row. And I shared it in the Shill channel on Ghosts. And Mike Lazar, he reached out and he was like, "Where do these come from?" And I was like, "Well, I'm a lucid dreamer. And sometimes I dream about shapes or space that take me to my dream. And a lot of the times I know that I'm going to lucid dream because I enter this room. Once I enter this room, I all of a sudden kind of like project out into space, and it's different ways. Like sometimes I'm like on a pogo stick and I like jump out into space. Sometimes there's an elevator that takes me. Whatever it is, like I always tend to like go through that before I get to whatever thing I'm supposed to dream next. And I don't know why. It doesn't happen
Interesting.
every single time, but it happens a lot. And so a lot of these dreams come from that. Like, for example, number 9, um, I was like flying towards that ball of energy in space. And just like a bunch of voices were like passing me by. But in that core, I heard my grandfather speaking, and my grandfather passed away like, I don't know, 15 years ago or something. So, he hasn't been around a long time. And so I just remember like I really wanted to get to the core of that because I wanted to hear what he was saying. And he kept like talking to me and it sounded like he was on the phone. So I was like just traveling there, and then I woke up. So a lot of these are like, very like personal to me, even though I might not like explain why in the description, but that's pretty much like where they come from.
Yeah, and it's cool because a lot of them have, the similar style in some sort of way, like based around moon. Um, the lighting is really cool and unique in a lot of these, and obviously there's a lot of colors going on, so it's really cool. I think, do I have the 13? I might have 13. Yeah. So I have the 13 one
The
that you had
synapses.
mentioned.
Yeah.
And then I think I tried to get, maybe it was this one, 8. And whenever you dropped it, just instantly sold out. You had, I don't know,
I know, I
10.
have some snipers.
It might have been 10. And so then this 13 came out. I was like, I have to hop in now before like I think you tweeted it and you had to be in the first like 5 minutes in order to get these because people want them, and it was a limited enough supply. There's only like 10 of them or whatever. So yeah, I wanted to bring up this Moonbeam one because I feel like, I don't know, it's a different side of you in a way where people see you as like the collector, Kiki, but then you're also doing your own art
Mhm.
as well that you're putting out to these collections. And then you have the photography too, right? Is that just called Swickie
Yes.
photography?
I think it's just here. I'll send you the link. It's in my collections as well, but I've like taken photographs my whole life. I'll send you the volume one. And I have a lot of film. I I have 35 millimeter and 120 film, and I do digital as well. But I just kind of had all of these pictures, and I never like thought that they would see the light of day. I basically took them for myself, or I went to MFA. I went to USC grad school, so I just never thought that I'd be doing anything with them. But I'm so happy that they've found a home because I really, as an artist, you just hope that someday people will put your art up on the wall or you'll be in a museum or something. And this is almost just better because they have a whole entire life beyond the walls, so it's really exciting.
Yeah, and some of these are really interesting. Some of them are black and white. This one I think is kind of cool with he's got the dog there. And
Yeah.
now, did you have to set this up, or you just saw this guy with the
No.
dog and you're like, "Can I take a picture?" Or do you just take the picture, you just stand on the beach or
um
whatever, and you just take pictures of whatever's around you?
I actually pet the dog first, and then as I was walking away, I had already spoken to him. But as I was walking away, I turned around and I saw that, and I just was like, I need to take a picture of that. So I just took a quick picture, and I was like, hey, can I post this? He's like, yeah, like this dog is the love of my life. I love this dog. I didn't even get his name. I just was like so on the fly, and I wish actually that I could give him this picture because I just thought it was just so sweet, and I love dogs so much. So I identify, like I know what he's feeling in that picture.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, people talk about it a lot, but do you think there's a big place for photography NFTs? Will they sort of find their own out here, or do you think it's going to be more of like a personal, or you have to be a really big, well-known photographer? Because I have a my Colorado collection is like pictures that I've taken while living out more west, and so for me it was just like a photo album basically. But do you think like photography NFTs are going to become a big thing at some point, or will it be more
Yes.
of like the personal stories?
I think it's both. I mean, well, Justin Aversano has his twin flames and now he has his smoke and mirrors. And smoke and mirrors is what, 36, a collection of 36, and he has named them all after the tarot. So the star, the moon, the this, page of cups, all that. But with it comes like a one-liner, right? His twin flames, on the other hand, I mean, these are all one of ones. His twin flames are about the twins, and then they launch into like, narrative story about it. For me, I think it's super important to have that background. Unless you're like one of those photographers, like, I mean, not to reduce anybody, I'm just saying somebody with a big following from IG who kind of like transitions over, which we've seen with like drifter shoots, with his vans and like the landscape, or even Kath and her like
Yeah.
dreamscapes, all that. Like those are things that I feel like just the general public is just going to be drawn to anyway. My collection or your collection, for example, that are very like personal, home state, or just, like of our travels and interesting people that we've met. I feel like they have to be a little bit more curated because
Yeah.
otherwise people really won't know how to identify or connect with them. I was actually shocked that all of my landscape pictures didn't sell out and that all my pictures of people sold out. I just thought that was really crazy. Like, I would have completely called the opposite. I was like, who really wants to have a picture of a stranger in their wallet?
Yeah.
But
It's almost like, I don't want to say landscapes are overly done, but it's like, I mean, how many different pictures are you going to have that's a sunset or whatever, right?
right.
But like this picture of the guy with the dog is pretty unique in that sense. Um, so maybe that's why like people, maybe just the way that they interact with a human picture versus
Yeah.
just like um, the landscape is a little different. So yeah, I think that's one. Who's is it? D's or Zeneca? One of those two. They got really into buying photography NFTs
I
on
think both of them
Twitter
are
last
on
year.
it right now. Yeah, like Dee's
Yeah,
was first, I think. I mean, actually, like the photography NFT space is just like kind of crazy. Like there's a lot going on. Like Obscura, um, quantum art. I'm part of those discords and they're popping. I mean, like they're making big sales, like
a lot of
30
them are
ETH
like,
sales.
yeah, and they're like 0.5, 0.25. Like I don't really see a lot of these photography NFTs that their initial cost is like that low. Um,
Yeah.
but a lot of them, there was one. I remember that like some people in one of the discords I'm in were going crazy over this one that it was like pictures of water, different water, and it was like how something got dropped into the water and it was this like ripple effect that they were taking pictures of, and it was like 0.5 ethereum to buy into it. And
Yeah.
I think it was the type of thing that D's was buying a bunch of them. So then people are like, why do I need this? Like I should start buying them. But um I do like the idea of these like the higher end like curated ones, because at the end of the day, like it's the idea that I don't have to go to an art exhibit to see this art. Like I could own it myself. I went to it was like one of those day in the parks where they have a bunch of vendors. I went to one of those this summer. It was funny because I'm going through, I'm looking at these like big paintings or big photography pieces, and it's like $15,000. And my friends are like, wow, that's expensive for just like a a framed photo or whatever. And then I think about it and I'm like, well, I mean, Twin Flames has like a floor of like 100 ETH or something, and it's
Hmm.
like it's funny how different with NFTs it can be, but I think that idea that you can buy it, you can frame it yourself if you want. Um like obviously I have this one like right above my head here. That's an oily NFT from one of the artists that's in a Discord we're in, and it's one that he painted himself. And so that had this like different attachment to me. So I printed it
Hmm.
out and hung it on my wall. So I think the idea that you can collect a lot more photos from different artists and have it as your own sort of like album, you know, um, that's what I think is really cool about the photography NFT space. Um, so yeah, I wanted to make sure that we showed the people about your photography side
Thanks.
as well as the moonbeams, because um, that's definitely a side of it that a lot of people see the Twitter personalities, and I think it's also important that I don't know there's also creators out there who aren't just like flipping NFTs and trying to just do things for their own benefit, right?
Right.
Like even what you said, like with Franklin, like I think some people look at Franklin, I think in a different light as someone who would, hey, here, look at my apes. Pick one that you like. I'll give you the deal on it or whatever. Like I think some people look at him very differently than that. So it's kind of interesting to see like the both sides of it, which is really cool about talking to people outside of the Twitterverse. That's where like
Yeah.
having interviews and stuff like that's pretty cool. Um, So yeah, what else are you getting into these days as far as NFTs goes? Beforehand, you said you're diving into DeFi Kingdoms, which we're big on that around here. I did a stream on that
Yes.
last week.
Well, recently, like work-wise, I've been doing a lot with SpaceDust, my new collective,
Oh
because
right,
the merch and the graph artist and I have joined forces to do stuff in real life, which I'm sure you saw the ghost graph too. Did you see that? Yeah, right.
yeah.
So before we even launched, Ghosts approached me and asked about the mural. And of course, I was like, well, we're a collective now. Like, these are the types of things that we want to do in real life. But it is a collab. So it's not going to just be like a straight Ghosts thing. He's going to put his own spin. And he was totally down. And it was a great experience. And I think that, Ghosts has been pretty public about working with us again and collabing. So I think there will be more stuff down the line. But each of these artists, Rich already launched and sold out of his first gen collection. And next we have Dennis's collection coming up at the end of January. So you'll probably hear about that.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna ask, and I don't know if that's what you said before, but is this specific one based off of Kiki?
This one is Ghosts, the NFT person Ghosts
No,
that
I know,
has
but is
Ghosts. Oh,
this like a collab, like Ghost X
yeah, this is
Kiki?
a Ghost and SpaceDust collab. So let me really
I
quickly
was just seeing the
share
pink
this with you.
hair, so I wasn't sure if this was like his
Oh no,
interpretation of Kiki kind of thing.
I get what you mean. No, so
Yeah.
this ghost is very popular. Actually, it's a demon. Dingaling owns this demon. So it was actually a surprise for him because he
Oh,
had no
is this
idea that we were
the
doing.
one that is the Dingling app
Yes,
PFP? Okay.
yes.
Yeah,
So here,
it
and this
looked
to you just real
recognizable.
quick. Yeah, so he basically did like you can't see it, but below the chin it says Rich because he's Rich Uno. But we did like a little mini video just to like you know surprise ghosts with and have forever because this is the first time that ghost has ever been on a wall.
Is the music coming through on this?
Yeah,
Let me turn it off. Oh yeah. So this is like the making of. So
yeah.
this is a
So
different this is a different set of artists from the Kiki piece, right?
no, same.
Okay, so it
Because
is the
once
same.
we joined forces, we decided that we're going to start doing stuff to bring basically NFT into the real life. So we did merch, we did my Kiki. Ghosts had approached us, and we weren't planning on doing another graph piece, but Rich and Ghosts, collaborated and decided that they liked what they came up with. So then this was put up on Melrose. It's on the side of a skate shop called Brooklyn Project. So thanks so much for that space. And our merch guy, he's friends with him. So that's how that. So basically, like we're just pulling all our resources together, and coming up with real life things that you can go see and touch and feel and all that. So,
Yeah.
but
That's pretty cool because I think that's the part that a lot of people kind of gloss over with
yeah,
NFTs, where making it out into the real world and showing how it can be like the same idea as just any sort of other marketing promoting of a product. This is
hmm
promoting ghosts, and it's cool that like Dingling got in on it. Did you get to meet Dingling in person?
we have not met him in person. I have talked to him many times. I'm trying to get him to come visit us in LA to see the mural. He didn't know about it at all, so it was a surprise. So basically, we just like dropped the video, and he was like, "What?" So he was pleasantly surprised, and that was cool because we can never really pull one over on him. So might be the
Yeah.
only time.
So SpaceDust is basically the company that's going to be
Yeah.
doing these.
So
Is it
it's
going to
not
be
a
across the
company. It's more just
country
like
or?
for now it's me and there's four of us. So it's me and Peter, who's like our business manager. um Dennis, who does DeCalvero, he does all the merch supplies. Rich, we're currently looking at somebody who's possibly going to do music for us.
Oh,
We're in talks with that. So for us, like our whole thing is like art is an experience. So there will be times that we will probably want to do things in real life that is an experience, but we're still kind of like in the planning processes of all that. And so yeah, it's just something fun to look forward to. I do want to talk about DeFi Kingdoms because I'm like so nerding out on that right
yeah.
now. So, but yeah, SpaceDust is
Um,
like going to be around for a while. So I'm sure you guys will all hear what we're doing because I'm
yeah, it's
loud.
definitely something that I'm interested in following along with it. It does seem like a cool little project, a little side project in a way.
Yeah.
And art, maybe that's something that's big at like NFT land. Maybe you guys see something over there.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been talking to NFT Land. I don't know what their plans are exactly, but they've been in my inbox. So we'll see.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. What do you want to talk about DeFi Kingdoms, or is there anything else? There's the I don't know if you wanted to touch on the. I always get the letters wrong. Uh, NFTBA, right? That's
NFTBA. Yeah.
that's the other project that you guys work on. So what?
Yes.
Quickly, just tell us a little about that, like where that came about.
Super quick. Peter, Jasmine Maeda, who's from Round 21, and Josh Ong. They're all co-founders of NFTBA, and that's basically a basketball league. So typically, every time there's a conference, we follow the conference and we throw 3-on-3 tournaments or open gym. And so there's like very real things at stake. Like they win ETH, and I think Jason is in the chat right now, Rice Boy. He donated his doodle. So that was a really
Ooh,
big deal
as
because
the
that was
prize.
right before the run. Yeah. And Voxy's not Royal Society. I forgot the other one. There have been
The
lots of
banana
people who
one. See,
no, I don't
spoiled
remember. Somebody in the
society.
chat can say. But basically like
The
this
cards. That one.
no, not the cards.
RSOP. Oh,
It
dang.
was something else.
Uh,
But
It's okay.
yeah, it doesn't matter. But anyway, also Tyler NFTs Anon, he gave his rare goat to the MVP last time, and that guy was like not even really into NFTs, and now he was like in the Discord and like collecting stuff, and he like cried that night. He was like, I have ETH and a goat now, and it's a rare goat. And it was just really cool because that's like the power of NFT. He comes to play ball, then he like leaves with like a premium NFT.
Yeah.
So really exciting stuff. I know that we're planning to be in Vegas. Very loose plan for now, but I'm pretty sure we'll be there soon. So
And it's pretty cool because a lot of, I mean, as we mentioned before, like a lot of people started through Top Shot. So there's a
yeah,
lot of people in the community that are super into basketball. Like I went to
yeah,
Club Top Shot did the thing in Vegas then the last year that I went to, and we rented out a basketball court for a few hours and just like played basketball together. And
that's
it's
cool.
interesting that like that's a way that a lot of people are getting connected in the real world in these meetups. Because that's what it really like comes down to at the end of the day, right? Like you talk to these people, it's funny because like some of these discords you're in, you're spending more time in the Discord and like talking to people online than like IRL, right? um I was talking to like one of my friends recently about this. I was like, it's almost like I have a whole like second life that's online where you have like a whole different group of friends that you've literally just never met in person, and but you feel like you know them so well. So it's like really cool to go to these events. Like we're planning on going to NFT Land in March in Vegas. So um excited to like definitely meet some people there while we're at it.
Yeah, that would be
But
great.
so yeah, what are you looking forward to now in the NFT space, just in general?
Definitely the games, as we've been
Yeah.
bonding in DMs over DeFi Kingdom. So thank you so much for like all of your advice. I've taken all of it and it's been good advice. So I've passed it on. Laborde James, actually, who we originated with in the Top Shot Seals Discord, I just randomly messaged him one night and I was like, hey, I'm like, what are you into right now? And he just sent me this very dry, like 3 hour video on DeFi Kingdom. And I was like, I don't know if I could watch this whole thing, but I did some reading on the white papers and kind of like looked at the heroes and stuff. And then it's just like so much like reminds me of Legend of Zelda, even the music. And I'm like a big
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild player. So I immediately was like, I need to get into this game. And of course, Jewel was like not as high as it is now. So we kind of lucked out getting in on that before it skyrocketed, which I hope it will more. But
Yeah, it's a really cool idea to a game. And like you said, like Treeverse is also trying to have that Legend of Zelda feel, but it's cool that each part of the map has its own like soundtrack to it.
yeah.
So you're in there and like while you're playing, it's playing, but it's like it's like calming music. So you're in there, you're kind of stressed because the Harmony network is slow and you're just clicking buttons right now. But um, it seems like the team is pretty strong and they take feedback well and they let
Mm-hmm.
people know like yesterday they were talking about how there was supposed to be a patch that was going to come out and they said with all the issues that have been happening with Harmony we feel like it's better to delay it to at least tomorrow. And it's like there's letting people know right away if there's an issue that might come up. And when they take feedback like, oh, this seems um, too overpowered or it should be working this way, and they take a lot of that and try to help the community out because they do understand that a lot of people got in very early into this game, and so they're trying to balance it a lot um, as they're coming out with the future changes to the game, but they want to keep that core of what the game means. So I'm excited to see what happens once you get to start really playing it as a game itself, because right now it's pretty much like pressing buttons
Click.
to do the
Yeah.
quests. But um, it'll be cool once you get to see people like the actual characters interact as well. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, what have you so far playing experience wise? Like, do you feel like the heroes that you started with were a good choice? Have you
Yes.
been playing around getting different heroes, or are you just
I
in the
summoned.
LPs?
I
Oh,
summoned yesterday
it's a
after three
rush,
days
isn't
of
it?
being like after 3 days of being like unable to do anything because it kept telling me that it was unable to do the ritual and I was like dying. I'm like, I need this win tonight. Like so I did the LP pool. I did one and Jewel. And then of course I really want a shot at a Gen Zero. So I'm doing the bank average X
Yeah,
Jewel, which my friends helped me out with because I was like, oh, it's 100 Jewel. They're like, no, it's 100 X Jewel. So now I've
yeah,
got to go back and figure out like how much I need to put in to get my 100 average for that time period. So I'm doing both of those things. I haven't really ventured beyond the one and Jewel LP, but
yeah.
I'm really interested in the AVAX. Do you have AVAX and
Yep,
Jewel?
I have AVAX as well, because they're supposed to be in the next, I'd say probably like 4 to 6 weeks or so, um, they'll be expanding to Avalanche.
Yeah.
So and just in general, I like Avalanche as a token and as a platform itself. I have the the coin over on Avalanche as well. And then there's obviously the strategy of having some Jewel already over there because I think there's going to be this mad rush to get over there once it actually opens. Um, so I have some Jewel in Avalanche over there, not in a pool or anything, just kind of like sitting as tokens. Um, but yeah, I have those two, and then I've played around with, but currently less now since they changed it. We weren't sure how many different pools you were gonna need for like the gardening stuff, but
Yeah.
I have like I have too many heroes to like manage all these different pools and quests and things. So I came down on the number of pools. Originally, I thought I was gonna need like 5 pools, and then you end up like not having that much in each of the pools, so it like doesn't really
Yeah.
matter. Um, the other ones that I was looking at, Phantom is one because they've talked about potentially like after Avalanche, maybe also moving to Phantom as
Oh,
another like side chain. That was probably further out, maybe not even like this year. Who knows? Um, and then ETH or like USDC. Those are the only other ones that I've really
interesting.
looked at. There's a lot of like random stuff in there. There's like MIS. I'm not sure what that one stands for. There's a lot of random like pools that they have in there that in my mind, it's like go to something that I'd consider holding the token on its own. That's where I came up
Right.
with like Avalanche, and the Avalanche returns are still pretty good compared to some of the other ones. Um, but yeah, that's for mine because I have enough gardeners to go to multiple pools. I think if you don't have more than 3 gardeners, you don't really need more than one pool. It's
Yeah.
just like how they have the game set up at least as of now. Um, so yeah, I mean it's a cool game. I'm excited to see. It's just I don't know. Like I feel like I get impatient with things at times. And that's what happens with these games. Like we keep hearing like games this year are going to be big. Do you think there's going to be many like actually playable games by the end of the year? Or do you think a lot of it is all talk?
I think that there will be games that are launched that will probably be stuck in the same space that DeFi Kingdom is now. Like DeFi Kingdom, I know will like move out of this beta, right? Because they have, I mean, they're a well-oiled machine. They're just waiting to
Yeah.
kind of take the next step. But I think a lot of games will probably kind of die in this phase because it's really hard, especially if you're working with different blockchain. Ethereum, like we're stuck with the gas wars, Harmony One, and all that. We're stuck with the growing pains of the chain. So I think it takes a lot and it takes a big team to kind of rein in and know what to do with all of these people. Like you said, DeFi Kingdom, like their Discord, I can go in there and learn anything about any part of the game. It sucks that there's not really like, I mean, your step by step was probably the clearest one.
Yeah.
But even like summoning, like I was confused. I was like, what do I need to go to the summoner for now if I've opened this crystal? And it's like, no, you've already done it. You've already visited the summoner. And I was like, wait, like, but I didn't go to him directly because the process is different if you have 2 heroes, than if you have to hire a hero. And if you have crystals, if you don't have crystals. So stuff like that, I'm like, I really wish that there was like a step by step because that's how like into it I'm getting.
There needs to
um,
almost be like a balance in these games, and that's the hard part is some of the games that come out, and obviously like the ape game that was supposed to come out too, um, seem to be more basic. It's almost like it's basic or where's the line of being too advanced? Because I think what's good about DeFi Kingdoms is how advanced it could be down the road. And that's what they're
right.
like opening the door for like how advanced it can be. Like there could be different parts of the map based on different classes and things like that. Um, but at the same time, is that too advanced because people don't want to hop in and be like, oh well, this is just a rabbit hole I don't want to get into right now. So it's almost
Yeah.
like they have to find the balance to that. A lot of these games and a lot of these teams. That's why I like DeFi Kingdoms because you can actually go as deep as you want. Like you don't have to buy a hero right now.
Right.
There's depending on who you are, what your risk tolerance is, and things like that. Um, the heroes aren't that advanced right now that you have to really dive into them yet. So you can just play around and like learn how to do DeFi through this
Right.
like easier to see and use interface than some of these like scary other like bridging platforms. This is teaching you like how to bridge to a different chain and how to use these pools, and they make it sound cool by saying you're planting seeds instead. So um, it's kind of cool, like, to see how it could be good for beginners, but also like it has a lot of depth for people that want to get super into it. Like when we do the Wednesday streams that I do with the Club MG My guys, there are people in chat that are like way deep into it. It's like the lore and what the different like classes and stats mean. And that's what's kind of cool about it, is there's going to be people that want to play the game as a game in that sense. And you kind of need that to be investing into it now. You kind of need to know that people are going to want to play the game, because I think that's how these gaming NFTs will actually be successful,
Right.
because
Yeah.
you need people to get sort of like addicted to playing and want to, go home from your day at work, or if say it's like students or whatever who they want a game to play. And so that's where I think it's the cool idea, and long term, that if they make it deep enough, then it could be something like the next World of Warcraft, where people are getting like super into the lore and leveling up their characters and trying to go out there and battle and stuff like that. So that's really cool side of it.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely where I learned the concepts of DeFi for sure. Because before I was trying to like figure it out and it just was not clicking in my brain. Like I was like, well, I get it, but I don't really like, I'm scared to try it. And so when I started playing DeFi Kingdom, it just really broke it down so easily. And I was like, okay, I totally now when I'm, out in the NFT streets on Twitter and people are talking about LP pools and like all this other stuff, like now I get what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I didn't before. I mean, I didn't even have a wallet in crypto in like February.
Yeah.
So this was like a new thing. And for me, like I am that person that would probably join your stream and like get to know like all of their recessive traits and how we can exploit them for like better heroes.
Yeah.
Because I like that kind of gameplay and inventory and all that. And that's all, again, like because I play Legend of Zelda, like these are all things that really matter to me to have like the best inventory, the best skins, this, that, the other.
Yeah.
So,
And I think DeFi is like the people always sort of the hate towards NFTs, and it's just like a picture, the right click savers and whatnot. But DeFi is like the application of
yes.
of it all, and like why it actually makes sense to use blockchain and stuff like that. And I mean, the returns and the ability to like be providing liquidity, and just in general, like it's so much easier to like make returns on your money than just having it in a regular bank account. And being able to sort of take risks by putting them into different liquidity pools and things like that. Um, that's where I think this year I'm trying to dive more into that side of it, like the actual applications of what Ethereum and these other side chains are trying to um, accomplish, really. And that's why I really like DeFi Kingdoms, is because it can onboard a lot of people into DeFi. And then I've gotten questions on like random things I've even heard about half of these like other side chains that people are talking about. We're doing one
Hmm.
stream tomorrow morning on Treasure. I don't know if you've heard about
Yeah.
Treasure and like Magic.
Yes.
And so like that's another sort of way to have whole new like ecosystem basically um, built off of this token. And if the token's doing well, the whole ecosystem's doing well. And it's a lot less than, oh, what's the picture of this monkey? That's the thing I get the question right now, like in by my friends. It's
Like, what
yeah,
is
my,
this
my
monkey
friend asked
doing
me, is
for you?
like, what? Well, it's funny because my friend was like, why why do they have all these monkey photos? Why is like everyone that they're following on like Instagram or Twitter like, oh, where what are all these monkey photos? I was told to ask you about it. And it's like it's hard to explain that to a person, but I
Yeah.
think like the DeFi stuff and like the gaming stuff is going to be easier to explain. Think of it like skins in a game. It's like you
Right.
can buy a skin as of now in games. You can't sell it ever. You just bought it. But other people might want it from you. Like people that are
Mhm.
once you stop playing the game anymore, you don't want it anymore. You could sell it off to somebody, and there's the the side of it like that as well. But
Yeah.
um, are you getting into any other like cool projects as far as like NFTs go that you've been buying
Um,
or
what have I been doing? I've been pretty like concentrated on DeFi kingdoms
yeah?
recently. I have been just like regular like, toy boogers. I minted, and I bought. Um,
Oh yeah,
what else
they
have I
came out
been
with
doing?
a they're doing like some show, right? They came out with that
Yes,
today.
kids show and all smiles. So that I think is going to be huge. And I had two toy boogers, but I sold one like 10 days ago. And I was like, damn, I'm slapping myself. Species, Coolman's Universe I've gotten. Yeah, I've just been kind of like keeping up with like all the cool cute stuff because I like cool cute stuff. But lately
Yeah,
I've also been keeping up with like what are people from China, like this new market coming in, like what are they buying, like the bears and all that. And I actually have a friend who's been onboarding people from Asia for a long time, like since August. And so I've been reading his tweets and I have him on notice since then. And like I feel like just now people are like, oh my gosh, like they're starting to buy the Asian market. I'm like, they've been here, but they're just kind of like bringing their arsenal of very, very rich money into the space
yeah,
probably very soon. And so I've just kept my eye on that area because I think that's kind of like the next area that's going to blow up. So,
yeah. That's where like I think Fanta Bear really showed that sort of like push. In the past, it was the 0N1 stuff as well. It
yeah,
was very
Oni.
similar to that, the Oni.
Yeah.
I think Azuki, that's the one that it's coming out now,
Yes.
could have a
Yes.
similar kind of push where um it's interesting how these like influencers that we don't even know about, like Instagram and TikTok have so many influencers with hundreds of thousands or millions of followers who people that want to get into NFTs, like China is now going to let people buy NFTs and they're not going to outlaw it anymore. And so now just they're going to look at whoever their favorite influencer is, they're going to like change
Yeah.
their picture to like the Phantom Bear, and then all of a sudden there's just going to be this mad rush to get it. And like you said, there's a lot of money out there, um, that once it's now becoming mainstream and sort of like accepted as a thing, then I mean,
It's over.
rocket
I
ship
mean,
emoji.
Jay. Yeah. Like Jay is like I mean, even my husband showed me his music way before all of NFTs and all that. And he's just like this very prominent cultural figure and
Yeah.
fangirl, or fanboyed over. And so for me, like once he came into the picture, I was like, okay, like now like the mainstream. Because I'd noticed that there was just a lot of buying happening, but now I think that there's a lot of like establishing happening, for the Asian market. So I'm just really curious to see where it goes because we haven't even like gotten to K-pop yet. Like there's some K-pop stuff on Starly,
Hmm.
Polygon, but it's not as popular because not as many people use it. And I know that there are collectors and stuff, but I feel like once K-pop kind of like crosses that boundary, like it's really like super over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It is
anyway,
cool because there's a lot of these like cultural things where there's going to be waves. And I mean, as of now, like NFTs are a cultural wave. And I mean, how many, it's in hundreds of thousands of people got into it last year. Like it wasn't even touching like the global numbers that it could hit. So it's gonna be interesting to see like what things pop that came out last year versus things that are new. I think that's the real piece of it for me. It's like something like a Fanta Bear came out recently, but got a lot of push immediately. Like, is that bad
mhm.
for it versus something like I don't know what's a good example. I guess like World of Women because that one came out in like July of last year, and now it's getting a lot more push. So it's interesting if people are going to look back and see, oh, this is something that came out in 2021, or this is the first XYZ project. Or if they're going to look at, this is the first thing I'm buying into. So it'll be cool to watch. Like 2022 is going to be a good year to like watch things unfold for sure.
Yeah. And I'm glad that we were here, you know, before all of the frenzy
Early.
to
Yeah.
kind of watch it grow. And like, you know, it's such a small community. We all kind of like know each other. So when new people come in, we know all that they're new, you know, we know
Yeah.
our little groups. And I'm happy that all these new people are coming in. It's just very different now. But I love to see all this like new type of stuff, new people coming in and having fun as well. So
Yeah. All right. Well, it was great having you on. I'm glad that we were finally able to connect. It's been a few weeks in the making. Um, Obviously with like the holidays in there kind of threw some things off, but
yeah.
glad to have had you on and share your story, especially with Kiki. See, do we have a date yet on when that comic is going to be released?
I would say by I'd say probably February 1st, because right now we're doing the ape coins. And so I believe we're like at 10K. So I really encourage everybody to go get those coins because there might be future things that you will want to use them for.
Yeah.
And we definitely have to at least hit like a 20K mark on those coins. So, you know, there's still time. I mean, there's like 2 weeks, 3 weeks to go. So get when gas is low, but definitely we'll be seeing in the next 3 weeks the comic. But I promise it will be worth the wait.
Yeah. I'm excited for the comic, and I can find you at Top Shot Swickie, that
Mm-hmm.
below. Um, and I'm at Lee Dog Sherman, and it's through Lucky Trader. Follow us. Like I mentioned before, tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time, we'll be doing a stream about treasure NFTs
Love
and
it.
in the Magic ecosystem. So if interested, check that out as well.
I will
Um,
be there.
so yeah, glad to have had you on, and we'll definitely continue to be following your journey through NFTs. And thanks to everybody who came out and supported and was in the comments with us. So we'll talk to you guys tomorrow morning if you decide to come on, and see you guys later.